Hello everyone, Gentleman here, and today we will be talking about the character balance adjustments. And keep in mind, these balance adjustments are not yet coming into the game until the August 3rd update after maintenance. I'll be giving my honest opinions and thoughts about how these changes might be good, bad, or straight up meaningless. So yeah, please consider liking and subscribing if you enjoy this type of videos. But okay, let's start off with the list of characters that we will be seeing. We have Rouge Light, Lionheart Sirmia, Haste, Tanabria, Mort, Silk, and Soothen, alongside 3 artifacts that will also be seeing some changes, which are Rise of a Monarch, Dux Noctis, and Steadfast Gatekeeper. A good lineup of characters in my opinion. I was very excited to not see Melissa on this list for like the 20th time, and instead to actually have characters like Rouge, Tanabria, and Mort that don't see much play outside of PvE or some other like niche situations in the game. The one character that I was very scared to see on this list was Lionheart Sirmia, since in my opinion, she's already a really strong character. Not much can be done to her character without completely making her busted. So yeah, I was sweating when I saw her. But okay, let's start with Rouge Light. Basically, all they did for her was make it so that her heals from her skill 1 attack now heal proportional to her max health rather than proportional to her allies' max health. So a good change. A nice little boost to her skill 1 heal. Also, they gave her a 25% combat readiness to herself whenever she uses her skill 2. So these are all positives, of course. However, the truth is that these changes don't really change anything about how she fundamentally works, and that is an issue. Because she is a single target cleanser and healer, even her S3 is focused on one single character. So if your opponent debuffs or dishes out big damage to your entire team, well, Rouge is pretty useless. Even if her tempo speeds up a little bit thanks to that 25% combat readiness push, it is still nowhere near enough what she needs to provide consistent support to your overall team. So yeah, a little unfortunate for Rouge Light enjoyers. Up next, we have Lionheart Sirmia, and her buff is very good. She got a 20% combat readiness boost to herself whenever she activates her skill 2, which will allow her to potentially blow up a lot more teams now than before by cutting off other characters that were ahead of her in the turn order thanks to her 20% CR increase. And that's not all. They also increased the damage dealt of her skill 3. Like what? You better pray you don't get unlucky with a dual attack at the beginning of the match against her, because she will delete your entire team. But yeah, I'm not sure she needed this change. She was already good and strong, but hey, Lionheart Sirmia's stocks just went up for sure. Okay, Haste. He now has a 50% chance to decrease defense for 2 turns instead of having a chance to steal a buff, which in my opinion, a good change. Defense break on skill 1 is one of the best things you can ask for. And they also decreased the skill cooldown for his skill 3 by 1 turn. So nothing major here, again positive changes for the character, but ultimately don't change much about how he works. He might have just gotten better at PvE content thanks to that defense break on skill 1, but yeah, he's still ultimately just a budget fire rand. Haste will also have some exclusive equipment changes. Option 1 will now grant an extra 15% chance to defense break on his skill 1, instead of the previous 15% combat readiness increase. And option 2 will now extend the duration of bleed inflicted by his skill 3 instead of reducing the skill 3 cooldown by 1 turn. I think these are good. Instead of them making it so that you have to pick an exclusive equipment to reduce his skill 3 cooldown by 1 turn, they just went ahead and reduced his skill 3 cooldown by 1 turn outright and made new options available for you to look into and help his debuffs work better. But again, nothing too revolutionary unfortunately. Now onto Tanabria. They added Restrict onto her skill 2 and changed the soul burn from her skill 3 to her skill 2, which will still increase the damage dealt. They also reduced the cooldown of her skill 3 by 1 turn, going from 4 to 3 turns. and change her imprint concentration to effectiveness from dual attack chance. Some very interesting buffs, honestly. The restrict is a nice addition. It allows her to cut off the tempo from her enemies even more since they will still be pushed back and have speed down. And her skill 3, having only a 3-turn cooldown, will make her feel more proactive with her skills, going off basically every other turn. So yeah, good changes. However, I'm not too sure this will change much about her. In my opinion, she works more like a debuffer rather than a damage character. So she's sitting in this weird position where you want to build effectiveness on her, but also damage. But also she has no survivability, so you have to build her tanky. But her base health stats are very low. And if you want to build her fast to get the first turn, her base speed is very low compared to other characters. So yeah, she is still basically a jack of all trades but master of none type of character. But for PvE, she is still very strong, so that's not to diminish the areas where she does shine. Tanabria will also be getting an exclusive equipment change. Her third option will now grant greater attack buff when using her skill 3, instead of decreasing the cooldown of her skill 3 by 1 turn, very similarly to what we saw with Haste's EEs. They just flat out decrease the skill 3 turn cooldown so that you can now pick an EE for them that enhances the way you want to use them. Alright, let's move on to Mort. He now has a 100% chance to proc Sacred Blessing when getting a critical hit with a basic skill. They also reduce his skill 3 cooldown by 1 turn, going from 4 turns to now 3 turns. But they did also reduce the healing you got when using his skill 3, so minor nerf right there, but net positive in my opinion. Mort will now be way more consistent when proccing his Sacred Blessing skill, instead of that super annoying 50-50 chance. And yeah, his skill 3 being only 3 turns now means he can maintain his enrage buff much more often, as well as giving him more optimal uptime. I do think these changes make it so that he can see a lot more play now, since he legitimately is a good character that was just being held back by his own RNG and can now provide more consistency. Alright, time for Silk. So very plain change to her skill 1, they just gave her a flat 10% combat readiness decrease instead of you having to skill enhance it to go from 7% to 10% as you had to before. And she now dispels 1 debuff from herself whenever attacked when she consumes the 1 focus. They do also add a description of what her automatic fire skill does, because I don't think it ever gave a description of what automatic fire did. But now they do say that when her focus is 2 or more, she triggers automatic fire, which attacks the enemy, decreasing combat readiness by 10%. The damage dealt increases proportional to her speed and penetrates defense by 20%. Interesting. Silk buffs weren't on my bingo card for this patch, so yeah, this one definitely took me by surprise. It will be interesting to see just how much damage she can do, because if you slap Guiding Light on her, she can very easily keep those 2 stacks of focus and use her automatic fire skill very frequently. But I'm not too sure of just how much damage she will be able to actually dish out. She does penetrate defense, give herself speed buff, and scales her damage off her speed. So hey, maybe she will surprise us, right? There is one other notable 4-star character out there that also scales his attack with speed and is ridiculously strong. Yeah, I'm talking about Sid. Now, of course, I don't think Silk will be on Sid's level, but hey, we've had some surprises before, right? And finally, the moment you all been waiting for, am I right? We have Soothen. So he now also increases his defense on his skill 2 and adds another burn effect on his skill 3. Which, you know, it's pretty good when 2 burns ignite. It can dish out some really good damage. But yeah, he's a 3-star, so unless he gets a specialty change, none of these changes matter much at all. But if you're a Soothen enjoyer, hey, there you go. And that's it for the characters. Honestly, not the greatest balance adjustments, not bad, but also I don't think this will shake the meta in any meaningful way. It might be fun trying out some of these characters and having more consistency and efficiency out of them, but that seems to be the full extent of this balance adjustments. So a little disappointed. But okay, let's move on to the artifacts real quick and see what we have here. First off, Rise of a Monarch. So now the defense increase of 10% is for all allies instead of just the user. Okay, good change. This is a good artifact in my opinion, and now it's better, simple as that. Next up, Dux Noctis. So now it increases attack by a flat 6 to 12%. Okay, and the 2 to 4% attack increase per stack can now only go up to 6 times instead of 8. Okay, this is good. The bad thing about this artifact, in my opinion, was that it had to ramp up quite a bit before you got any meaningful benefit from it. But now it has a flat attack increase right off the bat, and the potential to give even more attack after you gather more stacks. So effectively, it does the exact same thing, just better. And for our third and last artifact, we have Steadfast Gatekeeper. Wow, so this one just got a full rework, it seems. It now increases defense of all allies by 5% and decreases damage suffered from bosses and elite monsters by 10 to 20%. Instead of giving you a combat readiness push by 4 to 8% after being attacked by a skill that affects all allies. Well, not sure if this is better, to be honest, very drastic change. But yeah, if you so happen to have one of these artifacts leveled up and you don't like how it looks anymore, they will allow you to recall the artifact and receive all of your resources back. You can expect the recall and all of these balance changes to happen on the patch for August 3rd after maintenance, so not too far away. But okay guys, that's going to do it for this balance adjustment video. Hope this was insightful, informative, and fun. Please consider subscribing for more videos like this one. I really do enjoy offering visuals for the skills, characters, artifacts, and everything else that we might be talking about, because I know it's very easy to forget or lose track of which character was which, or what their skills was, etc. So yeah, thank you all again. I appreciate all the support, and yeah, I'll see you all on the next one. Laters!